Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Growing in Discomfort, and welcome back to one of those episodes of my 25th birthday series. Today's episode is gonna be some of the soft truths and the sharp lessons that I've discovered before the age of 25. I like to call it lessons I've learned before 25, but I don't think it's going to be all lessons, just some of the truths that I've also realized or that I've come across and you know what I mean. Not everything that I've learned before 25 came wrapped in peace. Some truths arrived through pain, others whispered in silence, others whispered in lies, and some I'm still learning to live with. So, in this episode, I'll be sharing about the first 11, 12, maybe 13 of the most 25, of the 25 most important lessons that I've learned before 2025. These are lived truths. These are things that I've been through, things that I have this I don't know if discovered is the right word, but like things that I yes discovered. Lessons that came with tears, mistakes, joy, loneliness, and a whole lot of discomfort. This is part one. The rest will come when they're ready. I would like to take this moment and just breathe in and out because it's about to go down. The first lesson for me, I think it has always been the fact that when it comes to my growth and my growth story, my narrative is that the greatest growth happens in discomfort. I've been through so much, but every time when I leave, there's always something that I am taking with from whatever situation that I am going through. And over the years, I did realize that I was actually learning a lot, but only when I was like going through something really uncomfortable. And it also led me to like, I think I came across this writing or this saying from someone, and it's like I can actually resonate with this a lot. Like fits, it fits. One thing about me is I also learn things the hard way, and I feel like that's where my greatest growth probably came from. This is also to say that for you to grow, you need to be in a little bit of discomfort. You need to step out of your comfort zone. You need to do things that you don't usually do. You need to say things that you don't usually do. Say, you need to act a certain type of way. You need to like be open to discomfort to grow. I personally feel like if I wasn't going through what I'm going through, I wouldn't be knowing the things that I'm knowing right now. It took experience, it took a lot of pain, and it took a lot of things that I've been through to know where I know or to know what I know and to stand where I stand right now. So I know for a fact that the greatest whole growth does happen in discomfort because of experience and what I've been through. The second one is it's a give and take world. Mind you, these are my truths, right? Um from like coming from coming from back home, coming to Europe. This is one of the differences that we have, I think, cultural wise. Back home, you're used to like giving and giving and giving. But I think the most important thing for me, or the shift for me actually in this case, is when I had to take because I gave. I feel like a lot of us are used to giving without expecting anything in return. But there are also people that give you and they expect something in return. I don't know if this makes sense, but this is what I have seen here. It's like it's like when someone does something for you, they expect a favor in return. It's like one of those movies you see where now that I saved your life, you owe me something. It's a give and take world. But I feel like I'm a late bloomer, all right? I am actually a late bloomer. So I'm realizing a lot of these things a little bit too late because things have always been like that. Another thing would be the fact that we are all just trying to be something or somebody these days. So I will not be one to judge. I've never been one to judge, but we all trying. Like I don't know why I feel like I'm always thinking so low of myself. A friend of mine always tells me that I don't regard myself in high esteem, and I've seen it. I've seen it in a lot of in the things that I do, and how I also think that I deserve less or I should do things less. But I saw also that a lot of people are just trying to, especially now that we live in this world where there's AI and all that, people are trying to, we're going into podcasting, we're going into content creating, we're going into music and producing and stuff like that. So I'm learning to embrace the fact that I have this talent of mine, and I'm also learning to embrace the fact that I have a podcast. It hasn't synced in, and it's been 2 years, almost 3 years with this podcast, and it does have a little bit of growth, but it's not that like that much of significant growth. And I feel like a lot of it came with the fact that I was ashamed, not really, not ashamed. Why am I stammering? Not ashamed in that way, but like I shied away from making more episodes. I got overwhelmed when I would realize that people were listening to it, and I would be embarrassed to actually make an episode, and then I have to publish it so people can like see that there's something up today. And I'd be so scared of being judged. I'd be so scared of feedback, and I would always think, now I'm putting my life out there. And there was a point where actually people started to have a lot of unsolicited advice in my life. People would tell me, you need to do this, maybe say this. And okay, I'm open to criticism, but I'll come to that also. I am open to criticism, but then this next point, this point takes me to the next lesson that I've learned. I have also learned that the truth doesn't serve its purpose if it comes out wrong. If you're criticizing me, or like if you're trying to be honest with me, or you're trying to be honest with somebody out there, but then you're not using the right words, and you're not like waiting for a moment where the person is open for criticism, then the truth won't serve its purpose in that moment. If we are in a heated argument, and you say something that is actually true, but I wouldn't take it properly in that moment, then it didn't serve the purpose it was supposed to serve. That is my point. Another point is you always have to prove yourself, whether it's to like like whether it's to your boss or your friends or your family. To some extent, you have to prove yourself. You have to prove your loyalty. You have to prove your capacity, capability. You have to prove your willingness to do something. If you want something, you have to show that you want it. And another thing, also, not just like the personal life or family life, social life, but also professionally. Something that I've learned starting my training and until now. Another thing that adds to that is being a black woman, or being the only black person at my workplace. I can never be pale enough to show my colleagues that today I have a headache. I can never be pale enough to show that I have fever and I'm sweating. Like, okay, when I'm sweating, then those are visible symptoms. But one thing that I've also learned or saw is that we are people of color. Obviously, our skin doesn't tend to get pale as, excuse my language, as white people do, or lighter people do. Um, And one thing that I also learned is that when I am not doing okay, maybe I pay a little more attention to myself and to hide it. Maybe not even to hide it, but I try to show it, but it doesn't even show. But then when I am okay, a lot of people will come to me and ask me, like, are you okay? You look sad. And I can never understand that. The amount of times, the amount of times that I'm pausing just so I can cough, it's crazy to me. Ah, mm. Anyway, like I said, I've learned that I always have to prove myself, to prove my willingness to be there at work, to prove that I am interested, because I had the practical cancelled on me because at the end of the day they were like, "Oh, you didn't show so much interest, you didn't ask so many questions," and I was shocked because those are all the things that I did, but I guess it wasn't enough. You always have to go an extra mile to satisfy people. See, now that I'm saying this, I am also thinking about a situation where with my last host family for my au pair program. I remember there was a time when they set me down and they were like, "Look, we're happy with you, how you interact with the child, how you're doing this, this, and this. You're literally doing everything according to the contract, but we would want you to go an extra mile. Like do things that are not even in the contract. The crazy thing is, y'all won't pay me for doing extra, you know? But yeah, I mean, that's just something that I also learned that, sometimes it has to come from you to do a little bit more to prove that you can, to get more points. If you want to be promoted, you have to do extra. That's what my host mom said to me. If you want to be promoted, you have to do extra even at your job. Do extra, be like I'm exaggerating this, but be respectful, like do extra. That is one thing that I've learned. Go an extra mile. Like, gosh, in this world, I'm done, I swear. Anyway, another thing that I've also learned was to listen to your body, soul, and mind. Like I said, some of these lessons I'm still learning. And I feel like with this one specifically is the one that I'm learning. Listening to my body, soul, and mind. I tend to get easily burnt out if I'm like literally working Monday to Saturday, Sunday free, and then again the same thing. Um, I've been feeling a lot of burnout lately, but then I'm scared of I'm scared of calling it sick or like not being up, like not being present for certain days. I don't know how to explain this. Damn. But basically, to just say that I am scared of not showing up because I'm scared that at the end things won't go well for me because I was absent. The education system here, especially if you're doing the hospital, then you know exactly what I mean with field height and stuff. But I think I mean to say that when it comes to a point where I have to call in sick and be absent, then I feel guilty. So I push and end up even showing up when I shouldn't have showed up. And then maybe I get sent home, then maybe it feels better. But I always have this guilty feeling when I'm not at work and when I'm supposed to be at work, but I'm not there. I had something in mind. I wanted to say it, but it slipped my mind. Gosh. Anyway, another lesson that I have learned is that I learn better when I learn the hard way. I think I said on a previous episode that my sister used to always try and simplify things for me. Like she would make sure that I don't go through a lot of hardships, but then I end up rejecting help because I always want to try things myself. And if I fail, then I can ask for help. Because I don't want to be like I'm not used to having things offered to me on a silver platter. But I then realized that if if I don't go through some hardship, I don't learn anything. But if I do go through some hardship, then I most definitely do learn something. Nails crooked. Yes. So yeah, I do learn things the hard way. Another lesson is it's okay not to be okay, guys. I like that's it. I'm not even gonna explain this. It's okay not to be okay. And another lesson is sometimes putting yourself first is okay. But there are people out there who are selfish. Shit. Like I get it. Like come on. Like nah man. Some of y'all are selfish. I'm not gonna stress this too. Yeah. You are actually living parts of your dream right now. It may not look like it, but you've come so far to only focus on the negatives. A lot of us are complaining or not content or not happy with where our lives are. But if you look back at like 5 years ago and the goals and the dreams that she had for yourself in the future, you're actually living some of them. I know for a fact that I am. I'm starting and I'm happy and I'm living here and I have my own place and I have things that I want, that I need. And I think I have learned to practice gratitude and I've learned to be positive and I've also learned to trust God even with the tiniest bits of things. Even when I know that you know what, because life is very unpredictable. But I'll be honest and say that I always got scolded for being too relaxed. I think the problem or the issue lies on Proverbs 3, verse 5 and 6, which says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In always acknowledge him and he shall direct your path. That is where my answers and my solutions have always come because I was always like, God said he would never forsake me, and I know he won't. Absolutely not. So I've always learned to just give everything to God. Obviously, you do work at the same time because God doesn't reward people who just sit back and be like, God will do it. God shall provide. Nah, you have to work towards those things. But as for only focusing on the negatives, I think a lot of us have to work on positivity. Like being grateful for the little things. You woke up today, like you still have a chance to apply for those jobs. You still have time. You realize a lot of things when there was time. You're still here. You're still healthy. There are people out there who like. I think we all know. We all know. Just try and practice being grateful. Practice gratitude, being practice gratitude a day. Appreciate the small things. Which also takes me to my next point, which says how many small prayers we've prayed where we actually answered but we weren't aware of. I think a lot, fam. Like a lot, man. I remember those small prayers where I'll be like, God, I want this. Oh God, I need this. God, if this happened, then this. And then slowly but surely those things happened. And then you're like, because it wasn't something that you struggled with. It wasn't something that you went on your knees to pray with. Maybe it was just a conversation you had on your head. Maybe it was just a thought. I think people fail to also see these thoughts as communication with the higher one if you are a believer. Um, yeah, but think about that too. My last one for the day, I think that will be the 12th one, is on unrequited love. I think this has been my biggest lesson over the years. I don't know, guys. This is gonna sound pathetic. I don't know, but why am I embarrassed? You can never force someone to like you or love you. Shit. Now that I'm saying it, now that I'm saying it, it's sinking in. Like you can never force someone to see your worth. Sleeping with them, being there for them, holding their hand, like ignoring the red flags, ignoring your boundaries, ignoring everything that has to do with you, just because you feel a certain type of way, or maybe you hope, or maybe you're living in this world where you're like, I know you're not mine, and I know that at some point I'm gonna have to let you go, but I'm just gonna enjoy this moment. It won't change anything. If they wanted to, they would have. That's also another thing, guys. Gore motho a sa go rata, a kgone gore o ka mo reng. Motho a sa go bate, a kgone gore o ka mo reng bagaetsho. A re tsweng hela mo bathong. Losing people hurts, but tsamayang, guys. Tsamayang. Tsamayang. Anyway, let me come down. This is funny. Yeah. Ah, this is really funny, but I think we need a whole episode on unrequited love. That was it for me, y'all. I really hope you enjoyed this one, and I really hope that you can resonate with some of the lessons that I have shared. If you have anything that you would like to add, please do feel free to comment on these episodes. Do feel free to reach out on Instagram. Oh, yeah, my Instagram is still deactivated, but you can reach out to me on my Instagram page. My podcast page on Instagram at Growing in Discomfort. I look forward to hearing from you. Please do not forget to rate these podcast, and yeah, tell your friend to tell your friend. Thank you. Bye.